Hungary, a nation known for its rich history and vibrant culture, finds itself teetering on the edge of a financial precipice. The country is grappling with a severe fiscal crisis, raising concerns about its economic stability and the leadership of Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Has Orban's government pushed Hungary to the brink of bankruptcy? This essay will delve into the factors behind Hungary's economic woes and assess the severity of the situation. The Hungarian government is facing a perfect storm of economic challenges. These include large budget deficits, soaring borrowing costs, and mounting debt. The situation is further complicated by external factors like rising inflation and increased borrowing by Germany, which is putting upward pressure on interest rates across Europe. The Hungarian government insists that the situation is under control and that the country is not facing bankruptcy. However, the numbers paint a concerning picture. Hungary's debt-to-GDP ratio has been steadily increasing, and its borrowing costs are among the highest in the European Union. This raises serious questions about the sustainability of Hungary's current fiscal path. The coming months and years will be critical for Hungary's economic future. The government will need to take decisive action to address its fiscal challenges and restore confidence in the economy. Failure to do so could have dire consequences for the country and its people. Like many nations across the globe, Hungary felt the economic sting of the COVID-19 pandemic. The once bustling streets of Budapest fell silent and the country's economy faced unprecedented challenges. The country, under Orban's leadership, implemented significant fiscal measures to mitigate the economic fallout of the health crisis. These measures were aimed at stabilizing the economy and providing relief to those most affected. These measures included increased healthcare spending, support for businesses, and direct payments to citizens. The government hoped these steps would help the nation weather the storm. While these steps were necessary to cushion the blow of the pandemic, they came at a cost. The financial strain on the national budget was immense. Hungary's budget deficit, the difference between government spending and revenue, ballooned during the pandemic. This growing deficit became a significant concern for the country's economic stability. In 2020, the deficit reached 7.6% of GDP, a significant jump from pre-pandemic levels. This was a stark reminder of the pandemic's severe impact. The following year, 2021, saw a slight improvement, but the deficit remained high at 7.2% of GDP. The economic recovery was slow and fraught with challenges. By 2022, it stood at 6.2% of GDP, highlighting the lasting impact of the pandemic on Hungary's fiscal health. The road to recovery was still long and uncertain. While the pandemic's economic shock was undoubtedly a major contributor to Hungary's fiscal woes, it is not the sole culprit. Other factors also played a role in the country's financial difficulties. Orban's government made a series of fiscal decisions that exacerbated the situation even as the pandemic began to recede. These decisions have been the subject of much debate and scrutiny. These decisions, often criticized by opposition parties and independent economists, have played a significant role in pushing Hungary closer to the financial brink. The criticism has been both vocal and persistent. Critics argue that the Orban government's pandemic spending was not always efficient or well targeted. They believe that better management could have mitigated some of the economic damage. They point to instances of alleged corruption and cronyism, where funds intended for pandemic relief were allegedly channeled to businesses with close ties to the government. These allegations have sparked widespread controversy. These accusations, while vehemently denied by the government, have fueled public distrust and raised questions about the management of public finances. The shadow of the pandemic continues to loom large over Hungary's economic landscape. The year 2022 marked a pivotal moment in Hungarian politics, with Viktor Orban vying for re-election for a fifth consecutive term. His campaign was marked by a series of strategic moves aimed at securing voter support. In the months leading up to the election, Orban's government unleashed a wave of spending programs and tax cuts, seemingly aimed at bolstering his popularity among voters. These measures were designed to create a sense of immediate economic relief. These pre-election giveaways, while popular with some segments of the population, placed further strain on Hungary's already precarious fiscal position. The long-term consequences were a growing concern. Among the most notable pre-election giveaways was a substantial increase in pensions. Orban's government raised pensions by a significant margin, a move widely seen as an attempt to court older voters, a crucial demographic in Hungarian elections. This demographic has historically shown strong support for Orban. Additionally, the government announced tax cuts for families with children, another measure designed to appeal to a broad base of voters. These tax cuts were seen as a direct effort to ease the financial burden on families. While these election year spending programs may have resonated with voters, their impact on Hungary's budget deficit was undeniable. The increased spending and reduced revenue from tax cuts further widened the gap between government expenditure and income. This fiscal imbalance raised alarms among economists. This contributed to a worsening fiscal outlook, making it increasingly challenging for Hungary to rein in its spending and reduce its debt burden. Critics of Orban's government argue that these pre-election giveaways were fiscally irresponsible and motivated solely by political expediency. They contend that Orban, in his pursuit of another term in office, prioritized short-term political gains over the long-term economic health of the nation. This approach, they argue, jeopardizes future stability. These actions, they argue, have left Hungary more vulnerable to economic shocks and increased the risk of a full-blown financial crisis. In 2021, Hungary introduced the Super Bonus scheme, an ambitious program aimed at stimulating the construction industry and boosting the economy. The initiative was seen as a beacon of hope, promising to rejuvenate the sector and provide much-needed jobs. The scheme offered homeowners generous subsidies for home renovations, with the government covering up to 100% of eligible costs. This unprecedented level of support led to a surge in renovation projects across the country. While initially lauded as a potential economic driver, the Superbonus scheme has since transformed into a fiscal nightmare for Hungary, significantly contributing to its burgeoning budget deficit. The initial optimism quickly gave way to financial concerns. The Superbonus scheme, while well-intentioned, suffered from a critical flaw, a gross underestimation of its cost. The government failed to anticipate the overwhelming response from homeowners. Initial projections pegged the scheme's total cost at €35 billion. This figure, however, was based on overly optimistic assumptions and did not account for potential market fluctuations. However, as applications surged and construction costs soared, the program's expenses spiraled out of control. The demand for materials and labor far exceeded expectations, driving prices up. By early 2025, the estimated cost of the Superbonus scheme had ballooned to a staggering €220 billion, representing a more than six-fold increase from the initial projections. This dramatic escalation caught everyone by surprise. This massive cost overrun has had a devastating impact on Hungary's budget. The financial strain has been felt across various sectors, leading to cuts in other essential services. The unexpected surge in spending on the Superbonus scheme has thrown the government's fiscal plans into disarray, forcing it to scramble for ways to cover the burgeoning costs. This has led to a series of emergency measures. This has led to increased borrowing, further driving up Hungary's debt levels and pushing it closer to the brink of a financial crisis. The country's credit rating has suffered as a result. The Superbonus scheme stands as a stark example of the perils of poorly planned and implemented government programs. The lack of foresight and proper financial planning has had dire consequences. While the scheme's initial goals of stimulating the economy and improving housing stock were laudable, its flawed execution has had disastrous consequences for Hungary's fiscal health. The intended benefits have been overshadowed by the financial fallout. The program's massive cost overruns have exacerbated the country's budget deficit, increased its debt burden, and undermined its economic stability. The lessons from this experience are clear. Careful planning and realistic projections are crucial for the success of any large-scale government initiative. Over the past few years, Hungary has seen a significant rise in its national debt. This mounting debt is becoming a major concern for the country's economic stability. The government has been borrowing more to fund various projects, but this has also led to increased financial obligations. As the debt continues to grow, so do the challenges in managing it effectively. Alongside the rising debt, Hungary is also facing soaring borrowing costs. Interest rates have been climbing, making it more expensive for the government to service its debt. This increase in borrowing costs puts additional pressure on the national budget. If these trends continue, Hungary may find it increasingly difficult to balance its financial commitments with its economic growth objectives. Hungary's economic challenges seem to be escalating as the nation finds itself trapped in a debt doom loop. With rising interest rates and mounting debt, the situation appears increasingly dire. Can Hungary break free from this vicious cycle, or will it continue to spiral out of control? Meanwhile, Germany's borrowing spree is adding fuel to the fire. As one of Europe's largest economies, Germany's financial decisions have a ripple effect across the continent. Increased borrowing could lead to higher interest rates, further complicating Hungary's economic woes. How will this impact Hungary's efforts to stabilize its economy? As the situation unfolds, one must ask, is Hungary a nation on the brink? The combination of internal economic struggles and external pressures from neighboring countries creates a precarious scenario. Will Hungary find a path to recovery, or is it headed towards a deeper crisis? Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Hungary's economic challenges. Stay tuned for more insights and updates on the ever-evolving financial landscape. Until next time, take care.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.